What's so great about dreams? How real is the dream in Link's Awakening? Is it Link dreaming, or is it the windfish dreaming? What is a windfish exactly? Does Link dream of electric fish? Does the dream really have to end? What will happen to Marin? All this and more here on Captain Keaton! Yeah! Look, you've got questions, and I've got questions also. Link's Awakening raises lots of questions, and it's fun to speculate all the possible answers. I recently spoke with the Legend of Leo on these questions and more on the classic Legend of Zelda game, Link's Awakening. Take a listen, subscribe, and let the Ballad of the Windfish soothe your mind.
All right, so, if you ever listen to some of these songs on YouTube and you read the comments section, or you just watch a gameplay video and again, you take to the comments section, you see what people are saying, they are praising the story. In my opinion, they're getting a little too sappy about certain moments. And I couldn't remember any of that from DX. I mean, I knew what I was doing. I was assembling all of these instruments, but in my head, I was just doing the generic template of kill dungeon bosses, kill enough of them, unlock final dungeon, kill final boss. And when replaying the game, I paid a little more attention to what was being said. Maybe it was written a little bit differently in the Switch version, but I thought it was really interesting that they're more or less telling you the ending of the game as you're approaching dungeon 6, and not even 7 or 8. I think it's a little bit earlier, so that's why I'm saying 6. It's like, hey, kid, you sure you want to be doing this? This is what's going to happen. I'm not lying about it. Now, maybe if it's your first time playing the game, you don't know whether that's going to be true or not. But having replayed the game, I thought that was really interesting. They're very explicit about what's going to happen at the end of the game. It's bold. It's a bold decision to make for the story. And the writing.
It makes you think about your moral compass as you're playing a handheld Zelda game.
Well, for me, I'm thinking of it more as just the gameplay and the story unfolding for the player. Sure, they can still throw some surprises at you, but here it is. You're doing these dungeons. This is what's going to happen. Enjoy the rest of the story.
Yeah, it starts to unravel some of the plot. This is definitely this is not unique to this game. The game in a dream sequence, but they play around with it a lot, where it does make you question a lot of what's going on. I definitely had a lot of that, just even in playing it, I don't feel like I have 100% read on the meaning or intended meaning, if there really is one. But it's cool that it is kind of cerebral in that way.
I'll take my spoiler tags off at this point. I think we've beaten around the bush about enough. And if people are concerned about the spoilers, then they can just, mute the video for the next 15 seconds, but not more than that. Make sure you come back and listen. I think it's exactly what they say it is. Link is dreaming the whole experience. Maybe he got concussed from being out in the storm and getting his head rattled a little bit. If you want to add a little bit of meaning, these characters could come from some element of his past. Maybe he's remembering, some other girl in his life as Marin, etc., etc. But I think it's pretty clear cut in saying, yes, Link is out cold. He's dreaming. There are some bad guys that are in this nightmare. And once he gets through to the end of it, he will wake up and everything will be good again. The only part that people can really ponder about, I suppose, is the existence of the windfish after he wakes up, right? In the closing credits, I think they have one of the animations with the windfish flying over. So that's cool, because that just tells you that the whole reason why he had the dream in the first place is that the windfish is a real entity. But I don't think there's many hidden meanings. I don't, if people want to go nuts with fan theories, I think it's always amusing to read through some of them. But to me, it's fairly straightforward.
That is definitely a read on the game, which makes sense. Very logical. He starts in Shipwreck, ends Awakening from Shipwreck. I understand. I think what complicates it is even within the dream, like the moral question of like, if you don't know what you're doing, if you do this, everybody on the island is going to disappear. Like, is that what you want? And like, it's sort of thrown back at you, and you begin to grow attachment to a lot of these characters. Marin is omnipresent. Even she at some point wants to wake the windfish. And I guess the question of like, is it the windfish dream or is it your dream is kind of a question for me. I don't know, but it's cool.
What changes? Whether it's yours or his? Sorry to get philosophical with you here,
By all
Mr.
means.
Keaton.
The windfish is like a deity, right? Like this is not, and it's the concept of windfish is bizarre and like unrealistic and unbelievable. You almost don't even want to believe the windfish is a thing. What is this, a thing? A fish that can fly, right? Like flying fish. But there is such a thing as flying fish. But this one is like a whale in the sky. So I think it lends Link some more importance as kind of like a hero figure for like whatever environments he's inhabiting. And this doesn't really happen to like Koholint is like imaginary in a sense, right? Not in the same way that like, let's say like Termina is or Hyrule is, but you are still like a mariner. Maybe that's why I attach so much feeling to this game lately. But you're a lost boy at sea, and the sea is kind of a mystic thing too. Now, if Link is concussed and it's just his dream and he's having a nightmare and he wakes up, I think it loses some of that excitement factor for me, and maybe some of the magic.
Okay, you know what? I didn't have anything in mind when I asked you, is there a difference between Link having the dream and the windfish having the dream? But your explanation actually does make it a little more interesting. So first of all, with the windfish, who knows what was lost in localization and translation from Japanese to English, but it's an interesting concept because you can't catch the wind. The wind is fleeting. You feel a breeze and it's gone. Right. And it's kind of like the whole world itself also. It's not going to last forever. You're going to experience it. It's going to be fleeting and then it's gone. I do think now, after what you said, it is the windfish's dream. And because Link is this Deus Ex Machina type hero, he is the one who is going to save the windfish. That is inevitable. The evil is real. It actually exists beyond the dream. And so, sure, my new theory then is that there's real evil seriously infected the windfish. Link, through fate, basically, had his concussion, had this incident at sea at the appropriate time to be able to enter the windfish's dream, and he rid the evil for real. And then that's why they both are awake in the real world, because both of those entities, Link and the windfish, are real. Anything else that needs to be detailed in that? Well, as far as the people and, having to say goodbye to them, to me, I don't get too hung up on that. They were figments of your imagination to begin with, or his, I suppose. And so what are you really losing there? If you want to feel a little bit better about it, you can kind of convince yourself that, yeah, they are based on real people or real events. Marin could maybe be like the Lon Lon Ranch girl or something like that, Go nuts with it. Maybe Marin's a little bit of Princess Zelda. It doesn't really matter. But I never got hung up on a moral conundrum, a dilemma. Am I going to or am I not? You have to. Otherwise, everyone's dead.
Yeah. Well, it's like the Truman Show or like Vanilla Sky. You know, like, do you want to continue living in your heaven, or do you know? But even if it's just what do they call a simulacrum or simulation? I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you're happy. But I guess it's a game, so the fourth wall breaking is not perfect. You know, because you're still trying to go for the credits. Not multiple.
We are
endings
remembering
of
this correctly, right? Like the windfish did occur in Link's awakened state, right?
Yes.
I just want to make sure we're not going off the rails here.
Don't
Okay.
worry, I've played this 5 times in the past 2 weeks. I have seen the windfish.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. I saw the windfish the other day, actually. Yeah.
It was a cloud. It was a figment of my imagination. Excellent. All right, we can
Hey,
get off.
what did you think of my wind analogy, though? Did you not like that, or what? I impressed myself there.
What, catch the wind?
Yeah, how, the windfish and all this whole game is a fleeting experience, much like the wind itself.
No, I agree with that. I take that.
Don't worry, you don't have to pat me on the back for that one. That's okay.
Is that what you want?
That's okay. No, it's fine. No.
Well, let me process it. The whole I agree that the game is fleeting because it's a dream, right? That's kind of the point. It's like, was any of this real? So I agree with that assessment.
Yeah. And anyone who knows, Japanese names of some of these creatures or the mythology of the windfish creature, because Zelda has always harkened back to real mythology, there's probably a connection there that would lend a lot more detailing to this story.
I have it in French.
You have it in French. What do you mean?
Oh, I played in French accidentally, so I had the name come up a bunch of times.
Okay. Oh, wow.
There's 4 versions that came out. It's one in German, one in French, one in Japanese, and one in English. And
What do they call it? Le poisson de vent? Or is that wind in French?
That sounds familiar.
Poisson de vent? Sounds
It's
really...
going to appear somewhere in this
pedestrian.
video. It's a little Easter egg for
Okay,
everybody.
perfect.
That will be on the top
Good,
of
good.
Tall Heights.
Yeah.
Wow, Tall Heights. It almost sounds like a tall tale. We're going.
Ooh. See, now you're getting somewhere. Yeah, and I bet if you break down a bunch more of these characters' names, you find a lot more interesting trivia.
Yeah. What fun.
Link versus the windfish. Whose dream is it anyway? I don't think it really matters. I think it's a very provocative dream state that Link goes through, and some of it blends with reality. I wasn't open to the possibility of it being Link's dream until we had this discussion, so I'm glad we did. And now that we have, I think I'm even less clear on what the possible narrative even is. Maybe it's not even a dream, maybe it just seems like one. It's a very memorable experience regardless, and I love this game, and I think the narrative framework serves it a lot of justice. Do let me know your interpretation in the comments below, and I'll see you with more Zelda to come.